Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Stroke of Genius podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Abla. Today, we're doing the Survivor Experience, and I got a real special guest for you, and his name is Joe Iovenitti. And he faced death, and we're about at here on Stroke of Genius podcast. We want to hear from anybody that's faced death and lived through it. So we have only 30 minutes, so let's bring you all on the line, get right into it. Here's a story. Hold on.
The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
Well, good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Aaron, and thank you for having me on your show today.
It's really great to have you, Joe. I appreciate you being here. We've only got 30 minutes together. I want people to hear your story. So let's start out by you introduce yourself. Tell us your name, where you're from, and stuff.
I'm Joe Iovenitti, and I'm from Walnut Creek, California. And I'm a business consultant. I help individuals, families, and business retain more of their wealth. I bring them cash through the number of offerings that I have.
Yeah, you and I met, just so everybody knows, Joe and I met on the executive podcast, and we highlighted his business and what he does business. But today we want to focus on your story because you have an incredible story. I want to hear about it, about mountain climbing in the Grand Tetons.
Right.
So let's just jump on into it. Why don't you start off from the beginning, walk us through your journey?
Okay. Well, it was 1978, and I was invited by a work colleague, to climb Mount St. John in the Grand Tetons. And when we originally started, he had about 10, 15, 20 people that said they would do it. And it came down to the day of the hike. It was only him and I. So we went, we started the hike out. It was beautiful. As we hiked into the Tetons, there was a moose that was standing there. I didn't even see it till I was right on top of it, just standing. It was about maybe 10 feet tall up on a slope a bit. Anyway, we hiked and climbed. We went up an ice fall. We had a blast. And then we got to about 10,000 feet. And at 10,000 feet, he stopped because it was all ice. And I didn't have any ice axe. I didn't have any crampons. I didn't think I needed them. And I found out later that I really should have had them. So I told him, look, you've been here before. You haven't made it to the top. I'm willing to go further if you decide that we're going to move forward. It's your decision. And he said, okay. And he was going to think about it. And while he was thinking, I decided I was going to do some shoe skiing. So I shoe skied a bit. That's when you do like a squat, and you're on ice. So I'm skiing on my shoes. And then I noticed there was a big flat area to my left. And I told him, I'm going to go hike over to the left and do some more snow shoe skiing. And just yell when you're ready to go. So as I'm trekking across, I slip and I fall. And I'm on my back going down the side of Mount St. John, maybe about 15, 20 miles an hour. I was going down pretty fast. I realized that I couldn't stop because I kept kicking my feet into the ice, but they just bounced off. It was all ice. And when I realized that there was nothing that I could do, I felt a peace come upon me because I had my life flash in front of me. As I said, I made peace with everyone. And I can't say I was enjoying the ride, but I was not enjoying the ride. So in that process of sliding down the mountain, I craning my neck, and I noticed to the left there was a boulder field in a ravine. And I got the flash in my mind, wow, if I could hit that boulder and bounce off, maybe the change in momentum be enough where I could stop. So I angled towards the ravine. I hit the boulder, and I went up and over the boulder. For the next maybe 30, 45, 60 seconds, I have no idea how long it was, I was bouncing off the rocks. I don't know if you can hear this, but it sounded like this. Okay. So as I going across the boulder field, I realized, wow, I wonder if I'm dead yet, because surely my head is going to hit a rock. And just as I had that thought, I had an out-of-body experience, and I saw myself arcing through the air, and I fell into what turned out to be a crevasse. Fortunately for me, I fell on the left side of the crevasse. It was maybe 20, 25 feet, 30 feet deep, but I only fell about 10, 15 feet. So when I regained consciousness, and I don't know if I was out for a second, 10 minutes, I had no idea how long I may have been out. But when I regained consciousness, I saw white in front of me, and I looked up and I saw white above me. And the first thought in my mind was, wow, I made it to heaven. and then as I'm looking at the white above me, it was the cloud moved and I saw the sky, and I go, oh, I don't think I'm in heaven yet. Right. And I climbed out of the crevasse, got to the top of it, and I checked myself out, and I only had a minor pain in my left wrist. And I looked down at my right knee, and there was a Starburst pattern of blood on my jeans. And I go, wow, I wonder what that is. So I pulled down my pants, and I had a crater the size of a silver dollar under my knee. There was no cuts, just a crater. And I think what happened, I must have hit a rock, and it was a high pressure, and the blood just came out of it. Oh, yeah. In a starburst pattern. It just exploded out. So I pull up my pants, and then as I get buckling my belt, I cursed out loud. And I won't say what I said, but I cursed out loud because I realized I had a day pack on. And in my day pack, I had a single lens reflex camera that I bought the year before. And it was about $400. So that was a lot of money back in the late 70s. And I figured that camera is broken to smithereens. I take the pack out, I look at the camera, and the camera, the only damage was a small little scratch on the corner of the case. To this day, I can't figure out how that camera survived going down the mountain and across the boulder field. But it did. I was very, very lucky. So just about that time, I also hear rustling in aspens that were to my left. And I figure, that's all I need right now is a bear to come out of the aspens. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a bear. It was my hiking colleague. And he comes out and he goes, where have you been? I've been looking for you. Oh, and I just pointed up to the mountain, and you can see a streak on the side of the mountain where I slid across the ice and across the boulder field. And so then we hiked out. Fortunately, my colleague was generous enough that he gave me his ice axe on a hike out. And yeah, that was quite an experience.
Well, you and I were talking before to the show, we were talking about how the human mind either slows down time or speeds up its thinking process. Yeah. But yeah, you were talking a matter of seconds from the time you slept and began to plummet to your death, slide to death. You were able to think about all these things, make amends to people, make peace with people. Think about what you're going to do. You're going to get yourself to go towards the rocks. So it's amazing. And, you know, for anybody that doesn't know, the Grand Tetons in Idaho, they're pretty intense.
Yeah.
What Joe's talking about is not your typical mountain climb. It's ice climbing, really, where he's climbing sheer cliffs.
No, it wasn't sheer cliffs where we were. It was a slope, and but it was full of ice. And I should have had ice equipment. If anyone does any mountaineering, you always want to make sure that you have the right equipment with you. It was a dumb, stupid mistake that I made that could have cost me life. And fortunately, I survived, and I'm here to tell you today what happened. But there's another part to the story that I like to tell, and that is over the years since 1978. I thought from time to time, wonder why did that happen to me? I understand the mechanics of what happened, but why does that happen in your life? I could never come up with an answer, but from time to time I would ponder that, and there'll be thoughts that would go through my mind. Fast forward to 1992. I'm in the Yosemite National Park, hiking down a mountain across a boulder field with my 6-year-old son. And the boulder field was at the edge of an ice field that was on a slope and went down to a drop into the valley. And I kept telling my son as we were going across the boulder field to make sure that he had at least 3 points of contact. And I was continuously explain what that is. 2 hands and a foot, 2 feet and a hand. But always make sure that you had 3 points of contact on the boulders. Well, being a 6-year-old boy, he followed the instructions to a point, and that somewhere across that trek across the boulder field, he slips. He falls on his back, and he goes down the slope. Well, I remember there was a moment where I was just in shock that he's slipping. But I immediately threw off my pack and dived onto the ice on my stomach at an angle, thinking that I got to save him. And I was very fortunate. There was a rock that I was aiming for. I got there before he did. I put out my hand. I yelled at him to grab my hand, and he did. And he stopped his slide. We composed ourselves, and we were able to hike back up to where we were and hike out, and we went back to the camp. If it wasn't for that Grand Teton experience that I had, I wouldn't have known what to do when my son slipped. And that's my supposition of and how I rationalize what happened to me back in 1978 that it prepared me for what to do in 1992.
Yeah, I think
that's my story.
So true. Sometimes in life, we don't know why stuff happens.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it comes out later in life. It reveals why you went through that. Yeah. I can't imagine watching your 6-year-old son about going through the very same thing you're going through. Did you ever, in that split second, did you ever relive what happened to you and it all started clicking? You knew what to do.
Not while we were going across the boulder field. Prior to that, as I mentioned earlier, I would think about what happened in the Grand Tetons, and it all comes back as if I was watching a movie. Even now, as I told the story, I was reliving it in my mind. All the bumps going across the boulder field and falling into the crevasse, it stays with you. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some terminology that could explain all that, why that happens, what it's called. As a matter of fact, I'm having dinner with my future daughter-in-law tomorrow night. She's a PhD psychologist. I'll ask her.
Great.
And if she knows, and I'll let you know, Aaron. But I'm sure that there's a phenomena and a terminology for what happened. But in that split second that it happened, all I thought is, I got to save my son. and I just reacted. There's no time to think when there's something like that, because he was going down a slope. If I gave it any thought, I would never have been able to save him.
I'm almost speechless to know, because I had a similar circumstance with my son, that death came knocking, and it was, I just said to him,
Yeah.
we're gonna die, but it's amazing to watch. Now, I didn't know where you're at spiritually, but I'm not a big believer in coincidences. I don't think it's a coincidence you have this experience of you almost dying, having to go and slide to your death, and then being able to save your son.
Yeah.
To me, that is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And I know what that, as a father, there is, though, you easily sacrifice your own life for your son. The way it goes, the way it does. But I'm curious, when you were going through this, and I want to back up to the first part, and that you were there, you were an avid hike, you went on a mountain climbing frequently, or?
Sure. I'm also a geologist, so I spend a lot of time in the mountains hiking, doing my geology thing, if you will. So I was used to being in the mountains. I was never in the weather conditions that we found that when we were in the Grand Tetons before, to that degree. So I had some experience, but I wasn't a highly experienced mountaineer type person. I just knew enough to get in trouble. And it was a very stupid mistake not to have the right equipment in doing something. And I'd like to caution the audience, if you ever do whatever sport, whatever activity you partake in, you want to make sure you have the right equipment, because the equipment could be the difference between life and death.
All right. So I want to kind of reiterate what Joe's saying, because if there's anybody out there that's going out to do something, whether it be mountain climbing, skydiving, parasailing, have the right equipment. Done right. I mean, so really, I'm not an mountain climber, but sliding down the ice, if you would have the ice pick, you could have drilled the ice pick and subject to your descent.
Yeah, I think if I would have had crampons, I never would have slipped in the first place. If I would have had an ice axe, the ice axe probably wouldn't have helped very much. Well, no, I can't say that. The ice axe would have helped to some degree going across the ice, because I could have turned onto my stomach and dug in that ice axe and arrested the slide. I should have had an ice axe, and I should have had crampons. It was a dumb mistake. We all make dumb mistakes, and I hope that the audience will never find itself in a position like that.
I just can't imagine the emotions of seeing your son almost duplicating your circumstance you had. It's sliding down. I just can't imagine the emotions as a father seeing your son. I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. I don't remember any emotion at the time, other than he was he fell, he slipped, he was sliding down the face of the mountain, and I just had to save him. There was no thought process that occurred. He must have slipped, and I would say probably within 3-5 seconds, I was on the ice trying to save him. And you hear stories of lifeguards, for example. Someone's out in the ocean, they look like they're drowning. They're in the water right away. They don't think about it. They just react. And I think that's what happened to me. I just reacted. But the preparation to be able to react, maybe that's why I spent time thinking about what my experience in the Grand Tetons between 1978 and 1992. Because over those years, there would be periods where I would think about that and meditate on it and consider what happened. I was never able to come up with any answers, but the event kept playing over and over in my mind. And it's like going through it every time it happened. So when that moment occurred, when I had to take some action, I apparently knew exactly what to do, and my mind and body reacted, and I was able to do it. I was very. Both my son and I were very fortunate that I was in that state of mind.
Joe, that right there is the reason I said there's no mistake in life. I mean, I think the universe has reasons why things occur.
Yeah.
But if I could, you said you really didn't have fear, you just reacted. But when you're out there and given the emotions, so really emotional trauma and the emotions of what's happening gone, you're watching your son, you're watching yourself, the emotion is gone, you're reacting,
Yeah,
right?
it's interesting because once I was able to arrest his slide, we got up, we hiked back up to where we noted to be to get back to the camp. We went back to camp. We met the rest of the fellow campers. We told the story, and I don't remember much emotion associated with it. No, it happened. No, let's move on. What else is next that we have to experience? No, you could wind up spending a lot of time dwelling on it. What could have happened? What maybe I should have done differently, whatever. But the fact of the matter remains that when the moment was necessary to do something, with God's gift, I was able to do it and save him from going off the cliff.
Well, I think you and I were talking this earlier because I've been in a near-death experience, but there's a gratefulness of being alive that kind. Tell me a little bit about your gratefulness. What now the emotions come out, you're grateful. Tell me to explain that to me and what happened. What did it feel?
Why I'm grateful?
Yeah.
Uh, well, I'm laughing because, as I told you earlier before the show, one of the things that both my son and I decided to do when we went back home, or on the way back home, was not to tell his mom what happened, and we did not until about maybe 2015. In the last 5 years, we told her. And divorced from my wife, but now we're very good friends. And we were sitting at her dining room table with my youngest son and my oldest son. The oldest son is 46 now, and my youngest one is 36. And we told her, I don't know how it came up in the conversation, but it did. She didn't believe it. Till my son, the younger one, kept telling me, yeah, no, this happened. And he told her several times. So she finally does believe it. And we had to explain to her, we couldn't tell you because then you'll never let us go camping. And it's embarrassing again. And fortunately, nothing like that has ever happened again. We've been very lucky in our experiences in the mountain.
Are you doing the coming up? Are you doing the hiking or climbing coming up? Do you still do it?
Yeah, I don't do it any longer. I'm now 70. I'm a bit too old to be doing that stuff. I still do some hiking, but it's all pretty low, mild activity. No, I would love to do it again, but I just don't think I'm up to it. No, at the time, back in 1978, I was pretty limber. I was studying martial arts, so my body was pretty loose, and I think that helped quite a bit in why I didn't why I did not have any significant injuries.
So I'm curious, yeah, because you're in good shape, but I'm curious if your son, does he do any mountain climbing?
No, he doesn't do any as much. He'll occasionally go hiking, but he doesn't do the mountaineering that we did when he and his brother were a lot younger.
Yeah, we're coming down to the end of the show, but there's one thing I wanted to say. I know you agree, is to be grateful for your life. But things happen real fast.
Right. Yeah. I think we have to appreciate what happens to us, and be prepared. And we can't dwell on things that happen. Things happen, and as we talked earlier, it's like a river. Time flows, and we're on that river, and we don't have a paddle, we don't have a boat, we don't have a canoe. We just have to go with the flow of the river and enjoy the ride while you're here.
Well, I can't. We can't leave the show on a better note than that. Enjoy life here. So things happen.
Yeah.
Enjoy life. Go mountain climbing, do whatever. You're not going to stop living to keep yourself safe. Go out and enjoy yourself. Be grateful and take a deep breath and say thank you to either person giving you the time to get it.
Yeah, you have to be thankful for being able to do these things.
Yeah.
And enjoy them.
Joe, thank you so much for doing. Thank you for taking your time to tell a story.
Aaron, it's my pleasure being here. Anything I could do to help, don't hesitate to ask.
All right, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay.